Hi, I'm Jasmine, and you're watching my channel, The Curious White Coat. I'm a new medical doctor, and about a year ago, I was also navigating the residency interview process. It's been recommended that for the 2022 to 2023 cycle, programs continue to host virtual interviews. So this video is going to be all about how to have a good virtual interview background. Your interview is a chance to get to meet the program and get to know the people better. It's also another opportunity for you to showcase who you are. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but now you're getting ready to be on a live video. So you want to make sure that your virtual background conveys the message that you're trying to get across. And there are certain elements that you're going to want to make sure you executed well. Remember that your interviewers are going to be relying heavily on their sight and what they can hear while conducting these interviews. So make sure you choose a location where your interviewers can see and hear you well. Avoid coffee shops or other places that have high foot traffic, unpredictable levels of noise, and really dim lighting. You could sit outside and you'll have great lighting, but you're also going to have to worry about that same unpredictable noise. Cars pass by, animals are going out and about, and you might even have landscapers that are starting up their daily tasks around the same time you're having your interview. So you don't want to have noise that you're competing with, because that can be very distracting. I'll say the vast majority of people actually had their interview setting inside of their homes. Your school might also have some designated areas that you can reserve for your interview day, but I'll say more people tended to have their interview inside their house. Some people use their home office spaces, whether that was a separate room or maybe like a corner in their bedroom. I used our home office, or I would be in my bedroom. I have a desk kind of set up along the wall, so I set up shop in that area. But try to find an area, again, that's well lit and you won't have a lot of extra noise around it. The place that you choose should have good lighting that illuminates your face without washing you out. You also want to make sure that you're not sitting in the shadows either. Check your laptop camera and your webcam settings to make sure they're not automatically adjusting in a way that leaves you sitting like you're just a silhouette on the screen. You can bring in some artificial light if you want. I used a ring light, but be careful with how you use that. Like, for instance, this is very bright. You don't want that on your face during the interview. You can also see that it reflects in my glasses. So whenever I used my ring light, I turned down the settings, I angled it off camera, and actually wore a different pair of glasses that were less reflective than these are. So just keep that in mind. Also, make sure that you're not sitting with your back towards a window, because then you're going to look like Peter Pan's shadow, and that's just awkward. Once you've selected your interview space and your lighting is on point, now it's time to clean the area. And I mean literally clean it. Pick things up off the floor. If you're kind of messy, wipe things down with a Lysol wipe. There shouldn't be any food trash, absolutely no trash of any kind visible. Do a little extra dusting. If you're somebody who cleans pretty regularly, maybe you could still give it a little extra love. My mom, whenever we clean, she'll tell us, make sure that it looks like a magazine, like a little catalog trying to sell you something. So aim for that. That's what I aimed for as far as level of cleanliness and having things look neat. I would also say, as far as clutter goes, try to have your area be a little bit more simple and less complex with tons of things going on in the background. Having extra items, even for decorations, can be distracting and pull people's attention away from you and pull it towards all of the things that are going on in the background. And you want to make sure that you are the focal point during your interview. Once you have your area nice and clean, you don't want it to be completely sterile and devoid of any personality. Make sure that you keep a couple of conversation pieces or decorative elements that communicate your personality in a way that you couldn't necessarily talk about in your personal statement. So for instance, I had an art wall that goes above my desk, and that was purely just a decorative choice that I had made when I moved into that apartment because there were a lot of white walls. But I chose to angle my camera a little bit to capture some of that art wall in my background during the interviews. Also, since it was around fall and winter for the interview season, there were a lot of sunflowers being sold in stores, and I think sunflowers are pretty, so I chose to get some to put kind of in the background of my interview space, just to add a little pop of color, but not anything that was too overwhelming. So overall, I had white walls, my space was clean, there were no like random staplers or anything like cluttering up the desk, but I did choose to take like a few elements to leave in there to kind of communicate who I was, because I didn't like the idea of just sterile walls, you know? So try to choose something that conveys who you are in your background, but strategically place them so that it doesn't look too cluttered. Do a test run of the screen before your interview day. So I noticed that Zoom and Microsoft Teams have a different angle on what they show you. Microsoft Teams is much wider and you can see more. So I had everything like set up for my Zoom screen, but once I switched over to Microsoft Teams for the interview, you had like a foot of space on either side. So it just didn't look as balanced. Make sure that you know what everything is supposed to look like ahead of time so that you can adjust accordingly. And also make sure that your area is cleaned too, because if you just push all of your clutter off to the side, we're still gonna be able to see it when you log in for your Microsoft Teams interview. As far as preset filters go and like the preset background, sorry, not filters, I've seen people use like the blurred background on Zoom. I've seen people use the backgrounds that you get from your school that have a logo on them. I mean, I don't have like too much against them because they are a professional background. The only thing is that they cut off your head kind of funky. So I personally would prefer if you had a nice, clean, uncluttered background that's live than if you had one of those preset backgrounds, but there's not really anything wrong with using them either. Try to minimize distractions. So pets, little kids, people walking around in your background, noise, all of that can be distractions that get your interviewer's attention, but also throw you off of your game too while you're trying to do an interview. So for example, our family puppy like ran into the room when I was doing one of my interviews, and it totally like threw me off because I thought I had locked the door and he ran like full speed into the door. So there was just this loud bang that actually scared me because I didn't know what was going on. And then I had to basically try to get him out of the room because he just wanted to be a part of the interview, I guess. So just keep that in mind. Try to keep your animals in their crates and their cages. Cats are notorious climbers that will go all up in the camera screen. If you have little ones that aren't quite school age, so they'll be at home, maybe if you could do daycare, babysitter, or family member to watch them, or try to time out their naps. That way they're napping when you have your interview. That might be helpful. And also just let people know in your household that you are going to be doing an interview. That way no one is walking around behind you or, I don't know, doing something they don't want to be caught on camera, like in the background. Change your Zoom name to reflect what you prefer to be called. You don't want it to say something like jazzy12@aol.com is in the waiting room, because no one will know who that is, and then it just gets a little awkward. So go to your settings and change your name so that people know how to identify you correctly. Your background is just one part of presenting who you are. Because everything is virtual, we have to use different tools than we would have used during an in-person interview. Use this video to your advantage to create a background that works well. Also, share this video with other people who are getting ready to do their virtual interviews, because this is applicable to more than just the residency application process. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel, The Curious White Coat, so that you can keep up with all of my videos. I do plan on making some more videos about the residency application process, so be on the lookout for those. I'll see you guys in the next one. Good luck on all of your interviews and your residency application process. Bye.